Wendy. So welcome to episode 1 of the ThinkingSpot Coaching and Your Colourful Self podcast. I'm Krissi, founder of ThinkingSpot Coaching and also executive wellbeing coach. And I'm joined here today by Dr Wendy, who's founder of Your Colourful Self. And it's incredible that we're here actually, because we've known each other for over 20 years since we were teenagers in Hong Kong. Who would have guessed, after weeks and weeks and years of sitting in Delhi, France, eating croissants and sitting in Taiwanese bubble tea shops, that we would be here today talking about mental health, something really, really serious and passionate. We're both passionate, and it's something that I have been passionate about for years and years now. From being an ex-head teacher for 20 years, I was overseeing the mental health of students and staff. My school had over 1,200 students in, 135 staff, and mental health and wellbeing was at the forefront of absolutely every single thing that I did. And Wendy, of course, you being a psychologist, you're doing this every day.
Yes. So I've been a psychologist for about just over 10 years now. And I absolutely love what I do. I think it's just so incredibly important, to kind of look after yourself, look after your own well-being. And I know today, we're going to be talking a little bit about how we can kind of help ourselves really as well to feel well, and to kind of invite things into our life really that sort of improve it. One of those things is gratitude. I mean, it's one of those things where, because we are naturally sort of geared towards being in survival mode, there's a negativity bias. So we go through life where we in a way kind of conditioned to kind of look out for threat. So that stems from kind of cavemen and women days, where kind of woolly mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, we had to be ready to sort of spot them or see them. So really, like, we have to be incredibly active in not sort of being in that state, and one of the things that we can do is sort of what's called practice gratitude. And so it might be helpful to maybe talk about what gratitude is.
Yes, I think that'd be great. And I just find it fascinating how after thousands, millions of years, we've still got that within us. Evolution hasn't got that away. We've still got that negativity bias where we're constantly looking out for danger and negatives. So what is gratitude? Because this is something that I've been focusing with ThinkingSpot Coaching for the last month or so now, because it's just something that I find is so simple to practice regularly. But for our listeners today, possibly you haven't even thought about regular practice of gratitude. So Wendy, what exactly is gratitude and why is it important?
So basically, in terms of gratitude, so it's that sort of gratefulness, is the recognition of something positive outside of ourselves. And the way that that is helpful is, so looking out for threats, for example, it actually strengthens those neural networks. So, and when we start to practice gratitude, we start to strengthen those neural pathways. So we start to look out for the positives. And in a way, it also starts to become easier to do so. So, for example, if you really feel sort of a genuine sort of thankfulness for something, that actually increases your happiness. This is research based. This is that, research says that people who are more grateful, they tend to lead happier lives and less stressful lives.
And I guess I'm thinking about society now as well. We have a lot of first world problems, don't we? Things that really probably shouldn't be problems, but we get frustrated, we get angry. The internet's down. Oh my goodness, the world feels like it's ending. And actually, there's so many things that we forget we need to be thankful for, that many people in the world don't even get access to. Fresh water, for example. There's so many things that we have that we should be grateful thankful that we're so busy now in the 21st century, whether it be on social media, whether it be jobs, meetings, family, that we forget to be present in the moment and be thankful for the things that we do have.
Well, exactly. So where I always kind of like to think of it that we can be in the past with our thoughts about, what's not gone right, or sometimes we think about what's gone right, but we could be in the past, or you're in the future. And the future, so the past is usually linked with kind of low mood. Future is usually linked with anxiety. However, when we bring ourselves to the here and now, this present moment, and train the mind to do that, it's hugely beneficial. So it's a mindfulness approach, basically. It's mindful living. So, and gratitude, the way that we do that with gratitude is sort of we take moments to reflect and sit and think about, okay, whether that's, they actually, research has shown that people who do this on a nighttime, sleep better, for example. They
Wow.
actually go into better sleep. So when you spend some moments, before sleep, for example, and you think of, for example, like 3 things that you're grateful for in that day. So it might be, the person who held the door open for you, or it might be that really nice coffee you made yourself, or the time with your child, or with your partner, or with friends, to really sort of engage in the thought, and the thought links with the feeling. So that's going to lead to a positive feeling.
And it's interesting how you say that. I mean, I'm very open about my mental health. I went through a really rough patch. And one of the things that actually got me out of that rough patch was practicing expressing gratitude every single day. And I used exactly what you said there, the example that you gave of writing 3 things that, I'm thankful for each day. And it can be little things. I remember on one day, what I was grateful for was this lovely little old lady in a shop, and she asked for my opinion about potpourri or potpourri. And she asked me, where do you think I should put these dried flowers? And I just gave her my opinion. I said, I think it would look lovely in a wooden bowl. You can use this fragrance with the dried flowers. And she was just so grateful. And the interaction only lasted probably about 20 seconds, but it completely made her day. She was so happy. And because it made her day, it made my day. And so later on that evening, I reflected on that, and it made me feel happy going to bed. Whereas before, when I'd got myself in a more negative headspace, and I didn't do that, I would go to bed with that negative headspace. And then you wake up in the morning and you're still feeling drained and negative, and you just feel like there's no way out. So with me, for gratitude, the reason why I wanted to focus on it first is because it's so simple. There's so many different activities that you can do, but just that one activity, writing 3 things down, it's something that everybody can do.
Well, exactly, and I think it's how powerful it is, because it releases serotonin, it releases dopamine, so they're your feel good hormones. So
Yes.
when you have that, you can't help but feel good. But also, the more that you practice it, the more you will look out for it too, and the more conscious. So in a way, it could be like again, a way of living that you look out for opportunities to, if somebody does leave hold the door open for you, to really make sure you say thank you, or to hold the door open for someone, they say thank you to you, because that sort of kind of can make us feel good too. So you really start to kind of notice it more, and the more that happens, the more you'll invite it into your life as well.
And that's really interesting. I want to pick up on that point, because when I was looking at gratitude, I started making worksheets and cards as well for it. It made me think how many times I've said thank you in the past, and how many times people around me have said thank you in the past, who have just said it out of habit rather than actually meaning it. I don't know if that makes sense. So gratitude, you have to actually mean it for it to work. If it's just thank you because it's a habit that you say after something someone's done for it, it just doesn't seem to work as well.
So it's the acknowledge, because a lot of the time we're on autopilot, aren't we? So like,
Yes.
it's really important to, exactly right, to be in the moment with that. to really you acknowledging, right, okay, you know, that person's done something really lovely for me, you know, thank you so much, and really kind of mean it, rather than, oh, thanks for that, and kind of moving on with your day. It's kind of staying with the feeling and sort of allowing that to be in your mind for a little while. That really kind of releases all these positive feelings related to that.
Yeah.
Because it promotes positive social interactions, right? There's something really lovely about, you know, going through life and sort of looking for opportunities to be grateful, and, you know, a bit like, you know, when the sun shines, you know, to really think about, oh God, you know, I'm really like grateful, or even the way it feels on your skin, you know, using your senses.
My goodness, living in this country, I am very grateful every time the sun shines, as I'm sure many of our listeners will be as well. Every time it's a sunny day, like today, the sun is shining. It's cold, but the sun is shining. I am delighted. I'm so happy. Look, I haven't even got sleeves on today because I'm just going to soak up every single moment and enjoy, like you say, the feeling of the sun on my skin and be grateful for that.
Yeah. And again, you know, those experiences, they are in your mind, so you can take them with you. So if there are moments, so like if you're struggling to sleep, is to kind of really sort of bring something like a situation like that to mind, where, you know, you really were grateful for the sun, and to kind of be grateful again, actually, you know, that was a really lovely experience. So you can basically double up on them as well by using your imagination.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you engage your thoughts link with your feelings. So
Right.
when your thoughts link with your feelings, you can have a positive impact on your feelings using your thoughts.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah.
And how can we sort of spread that positive feeling to other people? So we can do, you know, the 3 things that we're grateful for each day, but that's just you individually, which is great. But are there any ways that we can spread that positivity and that gratitude practice to other people?
I wonder whether it's about letting others know that we're thankful for them. So kind of that reaching out to others. I think I noticed that you referred to, say, like, if you really like a charity and you really enjoy what they do, or you're really grateful for the work that they do, is to show that gratitude and gratefulness by, I don't know, donating money, or thank you, or, you know, or
Yeah.
reviews, or acknowledging them. But it is about kind of extending out with that, isn't it? It's about, you know, or even, I mean, I actually have a situation not so long ago where I was out for a walk and I noticed somebody was picking up rubbish. You know, it was just a man walking his dog, and he was picking up rubbish. And I sort of, you know, walked past and I said, oh, thanks for doing that. And, you know, it actually created a little conversation. But there was something about, he was like, oh, thanks for noticing. So that gratitude, that thankfulness, he was then kind of like, oh yeah, like, you know, thanks for noticing, you know. So it actually made him feel good, I suspect anyways. And, you know, and I was pleased I acknowledged it. So there was a thankfulness, because it is something to be thankful for, you know, somebody tidying up the neighborhood, and, you know, there's something really nice about that.
And it brings out the human side of us. I think with the way we work now, with social media constantly not switching off, it's almost like we're expected to be machines that just keep going and going and going and going and going. And we need to sort of go back to the human elements of us, you know, the social aspect, the emotions, the connecting with other people, you know, being able to look somebody in the eyes and thank them and genuinely mean it. That is what's missing in a lot of places in society at the moment. These simple things that we just take for granted, and we shouldn't take for granted.
Yeah. Or even, you know, say you've had a positive interaction with a friend or a group of friends, and you come away from that kind of feeling, oh, that was really lovely, to actually then share that feeling and say, you know, thank you so much. Like that was really great, you know, because the more you do that, you know, that you do that for those people, you do that, it will come back as well, you know.
Exactly.
Go on,
I
sorry.
always try to, you know, after I've had a meal with someone or I've spoken to someone, I always try and just send them a text message later on in the evening to say,
Yeah.
thank you for that. I really enjoyed myself today. And, you know, possibly the reasons as to why I enjoyed it. And I've noticed people doing that back to me as well.
Yeah.
So that's a way to share that positivity. And I guess, you know, if you want to take it a step further, you can even write a thank you note to them. You know,
Yeah.
there's something about getting a note or a letter that is handwritten rather than an email or a text message. I always find it so much more personal. And when I receive a card that's been handwritten by somebody, I
Yeah.
really feel the gratitude and the
Yes.
thankfulness because they've taken time to find a piece of paper, which in the 21st century can be difficult to do, to find
Yeah.
a pen. Now, being a teacher, you never find a pen. So, you know, somebody's actually managed to find a pen. I swear in schools, pens grow legs and they run off somewhere. And they've actually taken time to just sit down and write this message to you. So for me, a handwritten thank you note or a letter
Yeah.
is just such a positive thing to have.
Yeah. Exactly. You know, and you know, again, so I mean, there's lots of research, you know, to back all of this up. So some of the things are that the more you invite these positive emotions, it actually lessens attention on, say, negative emotions. But then I also wanted to kind of add as well that it isn't about just ignoring our negative emotions altogether. I think it's really important to be obviously mindful of those as well. You know, if you're feeling sad, you know, it's important to be mindful of that. But to also, if you're feeling angry, because it's all communication, you know, like emotion, it's communication. And even though, and I posted about this a couple of weeks ago or a couple of days ago, maybe even, about, you know, it's about inviting sort of positive experiences into your life. You accumulate positive experiences. It helps us weather these really negative. It almost creates like a pool of resilience as well, you know,
Right.
to kind of fall back on in times that are really, really difficult. Because let's face it, you know, we can go through difficult times, but the more we sort of, you know, train our brain to be grateful, to focus on positive experiences, it will help us in those really difficult times as well.
So would you go as far to say we should thank and be grateful for our more negative emotions as well? Because it's a learning point, a learning journey that will help us to grow as human beings.
Right. And it might not feel like that at
Yeah.
the time, you know, if you're struggling to get out of bed or just that. However, what can come from that as well is you know, coming out of that, coming out the other end of that. Or, you know, knowing that actually, do you know what, this situation wasn't good for me. And actually my anxiety let me know that, you know, I needed to remove myself from that. Or, you know, my anger was telling me that, do you know what, this isn't for me, or I didn't like the way, you know, this person was treating me, or a situation was presenting itself. So yeah, I think there's something in the gratitude, I guess, for life in general, really, and we can't have life without negative feelings, really.
Yeah. And that's something to really stop and ponder and think about, because I think especially nowadays with social media, everybody's so quick to put up positive images and videos of themselves, and it just doesn't portray what life is really like. And especially for young children, seeing those images and those videos, they think that that's how they should be. And from my educational background, it's almost like children think that the perfect way to be is if they have zero negative emotions. And because they experience negative emotions for whatever reason, they feel that they're a failure and that there's something wrong with them, because all they're seeing is happy flowers and rainbows on social media and, you know, the various different platforms that they interact with. So I think it's really important for parents and for adults, because we're just as bad as well, to remind ourselves that there's learning that can come from negative emotions, and we need to be grateful and thankful for that. But then to add in some time where we can process and reflect on it as well, to figure out why it is a positive learning experience, even though it doesn't feel like that at that specific time. Because I'm just, whilst we're talking now, I'm thinking of negative experiences that I've had in the past. And actually now, looking back at it, I'm thinking I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if those negative experiences hadn't happened. I've actually learned from that. I've learned where my boundaries are, where I want to be, and I've turned those things into a positive. But I guess it can be so easy to just wallow in the negativity and stay there, or even worse, go down a downward spiral very, very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's how we approach things. So we can think about it in terms of, I can't believe this happened to me, or what can I learn from this? So in a way, it's similar, I guess, in a way to gratitude, in that you're noticing something, and what have you taken away from it? You're acknowledging what you've taken away from that, you know, how that led you to feel, and what can you learn from that? Because when we go through negative experiences, it can be incredibly challenging, because we have such overwhelming feelings about a situation, can't believe it's happened to us. However, when we then take a step back and just ask ourselves, right, okay, you know, what is it trying to show me, in a way? You know, what can I take away from this? You know, how can you use it in a positive way to move yourself forwards? So, and that it is incredibly difficult with you know, and like I say, a lot easier said than done. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, this is an easy task, but something like gratitude can kind of add to our coping toolbox, basically, coping strategy. And, you know, thinking about, in terms of focusing on what is helpful, or what is going to help us in times where things are really difficult, I think is really the crux of it, really.
Yeah. So if I said to you, Wendy, what 3 top tips you could give to our listeners, what 3 things can they do that can help them practice gratitude regularly? What sort of tools, what ideas would you suggest to them?
So it's really hard to boil it down to 3. However,
Sorry.
It's all right. We'll boil it down to 3. But
3 top tips.
I think it's the noticing. So, you know, really making an effort in sort of thinking, right, you know, sitting down and reflecting, right, what can I be grateful for? And it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be for a hot shower, or it could be for the fact that, you know, I have legs that work, that take me for a walk, you know, that can take me for a walk. Or so I think so really kind of taking moments, being more mindful of experiences that you can be grateful for. So being more in the moment, really connecting. And I guess the second one is connecting with others. So looking for opportunities, you know, it doesn't have to be constant 24 hours a day. However, when you're out and about, if it comes to your mind about gratitude, it's like, okay, you know, is there something I can be grateful for, or something that you see and you think, oh, that's really nice, and letting the other person know. And I guess the third is to do it regularly, and doing it regularly, really, you know, whether that's first thing on the morning, or so almost like making it habitual. So setting it at a certain point in the day, because once you set it at a certain point, you know, your brain is expecting that, right, okay, it's going to be my gratitude moment. And then you can, you know, do it during the day as well, sort of at random times, whether it's with colleagues or friends, or people in the supermarket, or just anywhere really.
Fantastic. So there we go. 3 top tips then. Number 1, noticing opportunities and experiences. Number 2, connecting with nature, with people as well, others around us, and then practicing it regularly. And I can assure you it will work, because I've been doing it for several months now, exactly those things that you've been saying, and I do feel so much better for it, and I feel so much more positive. So thank you very much, Wendy, for being here today. This is great. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, who would have thought 20 years ago that we'd be sitting here now talking about mental health and gratitude and being in the moment. So there's more information that you can find. So if you're interested in coaching, for example, if you go to www.thinkingspotcoaching.co.uk, or you go to the Instagram site at ThinkingSpot Coaching, or the Twitter X site at ThinkingSpot Co. You can find some information there. And Wendy, over to you on where we can find information on your sites.
Yeah, so for me, it's Instagram for now. So it's at Your Colourful Self is the Instagram handle. So I will be posting some more things around, well, just psychology in general, but there'll be some things on gratitude. In fact, I think there is a post on there already on gratitude that you can find.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Wendy. So if you want anything to do with business or organizational development and leadership, go to ThinkingSpot. If you want all things to do with psychology, go to Dr. Wendy's Instagram at Your Colourful Self. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. We've really enjoyed it, and we hope to see you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, 27 minutes.
Was that
That's
all right?
okay, isn't it?
That was all right, wasn't it?
Yeah. How do I stop the recording?